16 children were found in what can only be described as a house of horrors. Authorities that were inside the home said that it's almost indescribable what terrible living conditions that these children were in. The Attorney General called it pure evil, said that livestock lived in better living conditions than these children, that some of the children were almost feral and were unable to speak. This is an extremely recent and developing story, and I'm sure at this point most, if not all of you, have already heard of this absolutely insane case, and this case suggestion has been absolutely flooding my DMs and comment sections for the past 2 weeks. The Sider family were living in this 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom house on 182 Omer Street in Hamden, Ohio, an extremely small rural town with a population of about 700 people. The 4 adults that were living in the home that have since been arrested were 72-year-old Gary Sider Sr., his 67-year-old wife Catherine, and their 36-year-old son Gary Sider Jr., and then his wife, 33-year-old Elizabeth. And they had been living in this home for the past 4 years. On June 30th, 2026, police arrived at this home with a search warrant for a completely unrelated crime. At this point, they had no idea that there were 16 children being hidden in this house of horror. They were here with a search warrant because back in March of 2026, Gary Jr. was indicted on charges of public indecency and indecent exposure, like he was showing his manhood in public. And there were also reports of something involving a 13-year-old girl. So that was the reason that police arrived at the home this day, and what they found inside horrified them. This small home was in the most disgusting condition that you could ever even imagine. Only a few photos have been released to the public, and these photos are disgusting. There's trash and filth everywhere. Bugs were everywhere. And then inside of a tiny 12-foot by 12-foot basement, it's this room right here, they found 16 children being hidden in this room. And it appeared that these 16 children rarely, if ever, actually left this room. The room was covered in human feces and urine. These children were filthy. They were covered in bug bites. They were very clearly being neglected and malnourished. They were being starved. Like I said, these 16 children ranged in ages from 18 years old to only 1 year old, and they have been described as almost feral. Most of them couldn't even speak, and they even thought at one point that the 18-year-old girl couldn't even write her own name. Neighbors had absolutely no idea that any children were living in this house, let alone 16 children. It was a very tiny 1-bedroom house, and there was 4 adults and 16 children living in it. There were 20 people living in this tiny house in these conditions. All 4 of the adults were arrested, and the 16 children were rescued, removed, and were brought into medical attention. 2 of the children actually had to be airlifted to an intensive care unit because they were on the brink of death. And authorities even said that if they found these children even 1 day later, that at least one of them would have died. Now, it is believed right now that Gary Jr. and his wife Elizabeth are the biological parents of all 16 of these children, but there are a lot of people that doubt that. It is believed that Gary and Elizabeth met when Elizabeth was 12 years old and Gary was 15 years old. Elizabeth got pregnant for the first time at 13 years old, but that baby did not survive birth. Elizabeth would marry Gary when she was 15 years old and he was 18 years old. That same year, she dropped out of school and also got pregnant again. Allegedly, a family member has come online and has shared that Gary and Elizabeth are actually related and that they are distant cousins, but I have not seen this confirmed by the authorities quite yet. This is still just alleged. Now, the reason that some people believe that Elizabeth and Gary are not the biological parents of all 16 children is because of how many children there is and how often that means Elizabeth would have been giving birth. I have it written down, so I'm going to be looking to the side here. If Elizabeth was the biological mother of all 16 children, that means Elizabeth would have given birth in 2008, 2009, 2011, 2012, 2013, 2014, 2016, 2017, 2019, and in 2020. And then she gave birth to her first set of twins in 2022, and then a second set of twins that same year in 2022. So she's given birth to 4 children in 1 calendar year, but sadly that second set of twins did not survive birth. But then Elizabeth gave birth to a third set of twins in 2024, and then a 4th set of twins in 2025, and it is also rumored that Elizabeth is possibly pregnant right now. And if all of these pregnancies and children do actually belong to Elizabeth, that means that since she was 15 years old, she has been pregnant for nearly 18 years straight. And all the gaps between giving birth and getting pregnant again would have been between 15 and 2 months. She also would have had 4 sets of twins in 3 years, meaning that she gave birth to 8 children in 3 years. That is absolutely just insane. Some people online have been speculating that maybe some of the older children are actually the biological parents of some of the younger children, but again, that is not confirmed. That's just a rumor. And currently, the 16 children are actually being DNA tested to find out who their parents are. Currently, all 4 adults are in custody on child endangerment charges. Recently, a judge has granted a gag order on this case after it was requested by Gary Jr.'s lawyer. Gary Sr. and Catherine, the 2 elders in this case, do not appear to be in very good health. Gary Sr. was even hospitalized at one point, and it's even speculated that Catherine has dementia and she might not even know what was going on in her home regarding the children. Elizabeth's family has come out, and some of them put all, if not most, of the blame on Gary, stating that Elizabeth is a victim of Gary's as well, because he married her when she was 15 and he was 18, and after that he completely cut her off from the rest of her family. They've also shared photos of what she used to look like, now how she looks. Do I believe that she might potentially be a victim? Yeah, I could believe that, but I also believe that Elizabeth is now also a perpetrator. It is absolutely shocking to me that this went unnoticed for so long, and it would have continued to go unnoticed if police didn't arrive at the home with a search warrant for a completely different crime. And the 16 children in this case have a long road ahead of them when it comes to healing, and I truly wish them all of the best. There's been so much speculation and rumors being spread online, and I will 100% come back with an update as more confirmed information emerges. So interested to hear all your thoughts and opinions and theories on this case. Please let me know in the comments what you think about this. Have you heard of this case already? While you're in the comments, just please always remember to be respectful, because like I said, there are 16 children that have lived through quite literally a living hell for their entire lives. So please just always remember to be respectful for their sake. But while you're in the comments, please let me know what case you want to see me cover next. Thank you to the hundreds of you that have been requesting that we covered this case today, and I will see you guys all next time in my next video. Please be a good person to your fellow person.